All right, everyone, ready to dive in. Today, we're taking a deep look at personal injury law, specifically a firm called Schwebel, Goetz, and Sieben. They're kind of a big deal in Minneapolis.
Yeah, big players for sure.
You might think this stuff is all like dry legal jargon in courtrooms, but honestly, the way these guys built their name is way more interesting than you'd think.
Absolutely. It's not just about knowing the ins and outs of the law. It's how these firms, how they present themselves,
Yeah.
Like take their website, for example.
Oh, yeah, their website's like Exhibit A. Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
They hit all the classic points, experience awards, how dedicated they are to their clients, all the usual stuff. But the real question is, how do they stand out from the crowd? How do they make themselves different?
Okay, so first thing you see on their site, front and center, over 500 years of combined experience.
Wow.
They've got 20 lawyers, and that's more time than America's been a country. So what does that even mean? Like, what does that kind of experience tell us?
Well, it suggests to me, just thinking about it, that they've probably seen it all when it comes to personal injury. I mean, every kind of case, every possible legal scenario.
Right.
Think about the sheer number of cases they've handled, the precedents they've set. That's got to be huge for their clients, especially for people with really complicated situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're definitely not shy about highlighting that experience. Then they throw in board certified, and less than 3% of Minnesota attorneys get that, apparently. Okay, I'll admit I'm not totally sure what that even means.
Right, board certification. Think of it like a doctor specializing.
Okay.
It means they've passed really tough tests, they've been reviewed by other lawyers, and they have a proven track record specifically in personal injury law. It's like, it's a signal to anyone looking for a lawyer that they're dealing with a true expert, not just someone who, kind of dabbles in this area.
Makes sense, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not all about those fancy credentials, right? They also make a big deal about all their 5-star reviews, over 400 of them. Clearly, they're doing something right to keep their clients happy.
Absolutely. Reviews, they're like gold in this day and age, especially in a field like personal injury, where it can be so personal and emotional.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one thing to have all the legal knowledge, but can you actually connect with people, on a human level when they're going through something really rough? And it seems like they're doing that based on what people are saying.
Yeah, no doubt. And their service area is huge. Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota. That's a lot of ground to cover. They're definitely not just a small local firm.
Nope, not at all. That geographic spread is pretty impressive, actually. Must have quite the network to handle all that.
Yeah, that was something that stood out to me too. But if we're being honest, what really got me interested was their wins section.
Ah, yes.
Some of the settlements they've gotten are, well, they're huge. We're talking millions.
Oh, yeah. They definitely highlight those big numbers. The $15.8 million product liability case, the $12 million car accident settlement, that $10 million school accident. It's a lot of money. But it's also important to remember what those numbers represent.
Yeah, that's true.
Each one, it's not just a number on a page. It's a story. It's about someone whose life was turned upside down.
Okay, yeah, good point. It's easy to get caught up in the wow factor of those big wins.
Yeah.
But what we're really talking about here is people who've been through something really traumatic.
That's
right.
exactly. And the firm's job is to fight for them, to get them justice, to make sure they get what they deserve after all that suffering. It's about more than just winning a case in court. It's about helping people put their lives back together.
So they're not just like legal sharks trying to make a quick buck. There's a real human side to this too.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And that's where those videos they have, the Why I Do What I Do videos, those come in. Really smart move, I think. Letting people see the lawyers, hear them talk about why they do this kind of work, gives you a glimpse of their personalities, their motivations.
Yeah, I was surprised by how much those videos, actually got to me. You see how passionate these lawyers are about helping people. It makes them seem less like lawyers, I guess, and more like, real people who actually care.
Right, exactly. It's a way to personalize a field that can feel very impersonal, maybe even intimidating to some people. And when you're dealing with something as difficult as a personal injury, you need to know that the people you're working with, that they get it, that they understand what you're going through.
So they're trying to show that they're not just some big faceless legal machine, but actual humans who understand what their clients are going through. Interesting.
Exactly. And it's not just car accidents either, even though their website, it definitely focuses on that. They handle all sorts of cases, bicycle accidents, dog bites, even plane crashes.
Wow.
They even have a whole section on appellate law, which, for anyone who doesn't know, that's when you need to take a case to a higher court.
So they're basically ready for anything. It's like no matter what kind of personal injury you've had, they've got you covered.
Well, I wouldn't say anything, but they're definitely showing they have a really wide range of expertise. And that, to me, it suggests a deep understanding of the law across many different areas. It tells me they're willing to take on complex cases.
Yeah, and this is just from looking at their website. I'm already getting the feeling that there's a lot more to this firm than meets the eye.
Oh, for sure. We've only just scratched the surface. But that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, right?
It's all about uncovering those layers.
There's always more to learn, more to dig into.
So everyone listening, stay tuned. We're about to go even deeper into the world of Schwebel, Goetz Sieben. This is just getting good.
You know, it's really fascinating how they manage to show off their expertise, but still have that human touch, you know?
Yeah, it's a delicate balance for sure.
It really is, but I think that's a big part of their success, that balance.
You know, I hadn't really thought about it that way before, but yeah, I bet people in those situations, they're probably looking for someone who's both competent and compassionate, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about legal strategy. It's about feeling like someone gets you. Like
Right.
they understand what you're going through.
Yeah, totally. And I guess those, what were they called? The Why Do What I Do videos.
Oh, yeah.
Those are a good example of how they're trying to bridge that gap.
For sure. We're seeing that more and more these days, that trend toward more personal content, even in, professional services like law.
Makes
Right.
sense. Makes sense. So it's not enough to be good at what you do.
Yeah.
You got to be able to connect with people on a human level, too. I'm starting to see how Schwebel, Goetz, and Sieben have built such a strong reputation. But let's be real, those multi-million-dollar settlements probably don't hurt either.
Yeah, true. Those big numbers definitely grab your attention. But it's important to remember what they actually represent, you know? Like, take that $15.8 million product liability case.
Right.
What kind of product could cause that much damage? How badly was that person affected? Those are the questions we need to ask.
Whoa. Yeah, you're right. I was so focused on the dollar amount that I didn't even think about, the human story behind it all. Someone's life was probably changed forever because of that faulty product.
Exactly. And that's where the real work of a personal injury lawyer comes in, understanding their client story, the pain they've gone through, and then fighting to get them the justice they deserve.
So the settlement, it's just the end result, but the real story, the real journey is everything that led up to it. All the legal battles, the negotiations, the emotional ups and downs, it's all part of the process.
Absolutely. And that's what makes personal injury law so compelling. It's not just about legal technicalities, it's about real people, real struggles, and fighting for fairness and accountability.
I'm starting to realize there's this whole other side to this field that we don't see. All the behind-the-scenes work, the strategy, the emotional toll it takes on everyone involved. It's not just about making a dramatic argument in court.
Right, it's so much more than that. Building a case piece by piece, gathering evidence, talking to witnesses, navigating the whole legal system. And all the while, the lawyer has to be there for their client, supporting them, guiding them through what might be the toughest time in their life.
So it's not just about legal skills. It's about empathy, being able to communicate, building that trust. It's about being a human being, not just a lawyer.
Exactly. And that's what shines through in those Why I Do What I Do videos. It's not just about winning. It's about making a real difference in people's lives, helping them get through something awful and come out stronger on the other side.
It makes you wonder, though, about the cases that don't have those happy endings. The ones where the settlement just isn't enough to make up for all the damage. The cases that don't make the headlines but are just as important to the people involved.
Yeah, that's such an important point. We're looking at all these successes, but even the best firms, they don't win every time.
Right.
And those losses, those setbacks, those are part of the story too, just as much as the big wins.
So even with all their experience and expertise, there are no guarantees in this field, huh? It's still a fight, even with a powerhouse firm like Schwebel, Goetz, and Sieben.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Every case is different. Every situation is unique. And there are always unexpected challenges that come up. And sometimes, even when the lawyers do everything they can, the outcome isn't what anyone hoped for.
Wow, that adds a whole other layer of complexity to this, huh? It's not just about celebrating the wins. It's about understanding the struggles, the setbacks, how emotionally draining these cases can be.
It really is.
Yeah.
And recognizing that human element that's at the core of it all, the impact on the victims, their families, the whole community, those are stories that deserve to be told no matter what the outcome is.
You know what? I'm starting to think the real deep dive here isn't just about Schwebel, Goetz, and Sieben. It's about personal injury law itself. Like really understanding the whole system, the challenges, the wins, the human stories that drive it all.
That's a great point. We often get caught up in the specific case or the firm, but the bigger picture is just as important. It's about the pursuit of justice, the fight for what's right, recognizing that every single case, every person, has a story that deserves to be heard.
And those stories, they're often messy, complicated, full of both heartbreak and hope. It's not just about legal arguments, it's about the human experience.
Exactly, and that's what makes personal injury law so much more than just a legal field. It's a reflection of our society, our values, our struggle to make sure everyone gets a fair shake.
I'm starting to see why you find this area of law so fascinating. It's not just about the cases, it's about the people, their stories, and a bigger question of what it means to fight for what's right.
It really is. It's a constant learning experience, even for someone who's been in this field for years. And I think that's the beauty of it. There's always something new to discover, more to understand, more to learn.
I'm definitely feeling that sense of discovery. I came into this thinking it'd be all dry legal talk, but I'm finding myself drawn in by the human stories, the ethical questions, how complex the whole system is.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but that's what makes it so engaging, right? It's not just about memorizing laws. It's about wrestling with these tough issues, looking at things from different angles, and challenging our own ideas about justice and fairness.
It's like we peeled back the layers and found a whole new world underneath.
Exactly. And as we keep going with this deep dive, we're going to uncover even more fascinating insights into this field that so many people misunderstand.
It feels like we've gone way beyond just like a firm overview here.
Yeah.
It's like we're having a much bigger conversation about what justice actually means, in the real world.
That's what's so cool about these deep dives, right? We start with a website, and suddenly we're exploring, like, the very core of personal injury law.
It's making me think about those videos again, the Why I Do What I Do ones.
Yeah.
We talked about how they humanize the lawyers, but they also highlight something else, I think.
Oh, what's that?
The impact these lawyers have on their clients' lives.
Yeah.
It's not just about winning a case, it's about giving them a voice, helping them reclaim their lives after something really traumatic.
Right, exactly. It's like the legal battle is just one chapter in the story. The real victory is seeing your client walk away feeling like they were heard, like their story matters, and they're ready to move on with their lives.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the real value of a firm like Schwebel, Goetz, and Sieben comes in, right?
I think so, yeah.
It's not just about their experience or how many cases they've won. It's about that commitment to really being there for their clients, on a human level.
Absolutely.
It's interesting, though, because their website, it doesn't really talk about that emotional side of things that much. It's all very professional, focused on their expertise and results. Do you think that's intentional?
It's pretty common for law firms, actually. There's this fine line they have to walk between being seen as competent, the experts, and also showing empathy.
Right.
They need potential clients to trust that they know what they're doing, but also show that they understand how sensitive these situations are.
So it's like they're trying to be both the sharp legal minds and the compassionate advocates.
Yeah.
That's got to be tough to pull off.
Oh, for sure. And I bet it's something they deal with every day in every interaction they have with their clients.
Yeah.
The legal strategy is important, but so is being able to listen, empathize, and guide people through what's probably one of the most stressful and emotionally draining times in their lives.
It makes you realize that behind every single case, every settlement, there's this whole human story full of pain, uncertainty, hope. And it's the lawyer's job to navigate all that, not just in the courtroom, but in the lives of their clients.
That's it. That's it right there. It's what makes personal injury law so much more than just a legal field. It's about human connection, empathy, and trying to find justice in a world where things, they don't always go right.
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground today. From their impressive website to these really deep questions about what personal injury law is all about. It's been it's been eye-opening, that's for sure.
It has been. And like we've been saying, we've really just scratched the surface. There's always more to uncover, more stories to tell, more layers to peel back.
That's what I love about these deep dives, We start with one topic, and it takes us down all these unexpected paths. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Ooh, a parting thought. I always love those.
We've talked about what makes Schwebel, Goetz, and Sieben stand out, but what about the cases themselves? What makes a personal injury case truly compelling? Is it the severity of the injury, the legal strategy the lawyers use? Or is it the human story at the heart of it all? That's something to chew on. And until next time, keep diving deep, everyone.